Shout out to Soledad for that.
Shout out to Soledad. Principle 2 is access. Accessibility is a personal value of mine, and when looking at this heart with access in the middle, there's other words I want to highlight as well. Participation, diversity, wanted, relationship. What does it mean to access something? What does it mean to have inclusivity? What does it mean to be accessible? The market economy doesn't think about access in the same way as gift economics. Goods and services are assigned a monetary value, and prices usually create barriers versus bridges. Assigning that monetary value on goods and services diminishes the true value of our gifts, and we aren't able to cross those bridges without without deconstructing those barriers first. In a gift economy, goods and services are priceless. Truly priceless. We at EPPA, East Point Peace Academy, are committed to practices, financial and otherwise, that allow for the full participation of as many people as possible. How can you put a price on that? And that makes the teachings and the practices more inclusive and more accessible. So that makes less barriers and more access overall. The next principle is intention. This person is nourishing a little baby sprout and watching it grow. Rather than living with an assumption that constant growth is always positive, East Point Peace Academy, and I think by extension the network as well, we make decisions with our intention in mind. Can you see this image behind me? It shows a kind of distorted Uncle Sam figure with a gaping mouth and pointing finger, and it says at the bottom, "I want you to spend a lot." Santa, thank you. I kind of got Santa and Uncle Sam mixed up. What's also interesting is looking at how capitalism looks at what we deserve, what we are entitled to. Capitalism frames our economic system from a place of what we are entitled to receive, never to be satiated. There's underneath it constant growth. It's never enough, never satisfied. Dominic Barter, the RJ, restorative justice and gift economics activist, talks about the gift economy from a place of going from deserve to a place of need. What is our need? What is enough? What makes me feel okay? How do I want to have a relationship with money? When I think about money, what do I want to feel in my body? Where do we get our money from? What's our relationship to that entity or those people? When looking at the next slide, it shows the fourth principle, equity. Looking at this picture and seeing these different figures, what stands out? They're similar to each other, except there's one key difference. These two on my right, your left, can't reach the bounty. They can't reach the apples or the fruit, even though they all have the same amount of support. A market economy, we acknowledge that it has a cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all approach to economics, and that can sometimes perpetuate disparities. So we work to honor the story, the ability, and the capacity of each person in the room in order to create equity. So this shows equality with the same level of support across the board, and one person can't see over the fence. Equity distributes the support in a way that is according to need, and everyone is able to see over the fence. And the far right for you, it says reality, where one person has nearly all the boxes and is so far high in their vision where they are out of field. They're beyond the camera's scope. And somebody else is actually in a hole. The gift system acknowledges that we are interdependent on each other for sustainability. We are interdependent, and that system will only function and only work when those who have more capacity to give are able to give to more with those who don't have that capacity. I'll say that again because I kind of jumbled it. The system only works when those who have more capacity to give more than those who have less. We want to pull each other out of the extremes. Bring that somebody down from the high hopes because I can't reach them or hold their hand, and pull up my friend from the hole in the ground. The next principle is transparency, modeled by a clear piggy bank. We work to counter a culture of security and secrecy with trust and transparency. And in order to empower each person to make decisions that are right for them, we are committed to a culture of radical financial transparency. What would that look like for you to talk about money openly with your family? Like colleagues, really? Things like that. And how we practice this is expressed through our workshop, expense transparency. We're going to go into that a little bit further on. Kazi's going to come back and give you a different breakdown. We also will have a feedback loop where we will remind you and check in throughout the remainder of the weekend and give you a sense of where we are with our goal and with being transparent of how far or close we are to reaching our goals. And we also, as an organization, have budget transparency, where you can go to eastpointpeace.org/budget and hit just a couple of buttons and see our entire budget that we update on a quarterly basis. The next slide shows our budget, which is significantly less than what is usually known for an organization that reaches over 10,000 people in 5 years. We function on less than 120,000, and it's unheard of to reach that number of people in the time frame that we have. We train thousands of people a year with no cost. Like, let that sink in, no cost. High schools and prisons do not pay. And the way that it's done, it's paid in a pay it forward type of way. So whatever we earn here, we'll pay the next one and the next one, just like those in Soledad supported us to get here. We also will have lost our biggest funder starting 2020. So we're in a different way of massaging our budget and relating to our interdependence and community sustainability. What we also have as a practice, here's some of our community members and some of those that have supported us to get here and some of those that are in radical community with us. It's really cool to see the faces of those that have given in order for us to give. And the next slide shows how every workshop we offer 10% donation from our funds raised to a local Indigenous community network. And being here on Suquamish land, we're honoring both the Suquamish Foundation and the Duwamish Real Rent organization. The sixth principle is faith. And I had this idea, but it was too last minute, where I was going to bring out George Michael, but I couldn't reach his agent in time. So we gotta have faith, the faith, the faith. We gotta have faith, the faith, the faith. Faith, okay. So, rather than relying on strategic plans and fundraising strategies, we rely on relationships and a faith that if our work is truly meant to exist in the world, our community is going to come together to sustain it. Like, what does that mean? All of the facilitators here came to offer this training without a guarantee of payment, and we have traveled from far and wide, some across to the other side, the other coast even. I grew up in California. I face north, the ocean is on my left. Other people, the ocean's on the other side. And they came out here, so they might be discombobulated, I respect, but they came all the way out here to make this happen. And we are relying on these donations to meet our needs as facilitators, also as an organization. I want to say one more thing about faith, where my mom taught this to me when we were exploring an adventure in a way that wasn't clear if it was going to happen or not. And then when it miraculously came together, she said it was like jumping off a cliff and looking up. So I invite you to turn to the person sitting next to you and take a chance to process how your body feels. What came up for you listening to these ideas of gift economics? What was inspiring? Do you have any questions? Where do you see elements of this already being practiced? Because it's not necessarily a new idea. And what does generosity mean to you? You're welcome. What fierce vulnerability, speaking in crowds, is not necessarily my go-to on a regular basis, so I'm fiercely vulnerable being here with you in general. And thank you for the reminder to use the mic. Can you hear me better now? Thumbs up, sideways? Cool? Okay, awesome. I wanted to come back up here to say thank you, because sharing this is transformative. Going against the grain of our training to not talk about money openly with someone who we're sitting next to who we might not even know, coming up here and talking about all of these different systems, how they're up against each other or side by side. It's really important and really special. And for me, I just have a lot of gratitude to each of you in helping move us forward. Because this to me is an act of fierce vulnerability. And it's helping us move towards that just, healing, and whole world. So I wanted to say thank you for that.